Hello and welcome to MomTalk. I'm Andrea, one of the moms that works for SmartSocial.com. I help research and create all of the content on our site, and I'm also a mom. Today, we have someone new joining us. Ashley is our newest team member who's helping to try and keep your kids and mine safe online. We are so excited to have her today. So Ashley happens to also be a mom, and she has a pretty interesting story on how she found SmartSocial. Ashley, how are you today?
Hi, Andrea. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We are so excited to have you here and joining us on the SmartSocial team. I know it was an interesting story that you have. Could you tell everybody kind of how you found SmartSocial and a little bit about your background too? Obviously, you're a mom. Let's hear a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Yes, I just joined the SmartSocial team a few months ago, and I found it because, like Andrea said, I'm a mom and I have 3 children. They range from ages 10 to 13. So we are in the thick of certain parenting challenges, as Andrea knows. The way that I found SmartSocial, though, is we moved during the pandemic from 2 states away. My children, we lost all the connections we've, worked really hard to establish. My children lost their friends. I was trying to find any way to keep them connected to their friends during the pandemic, during a hard move. And so I did what I feel like many other moms were doing, is giving their children devices so they can communicate with their friends. And we have been on a journey now for 2 years of learning how to navigate that and how to navigate it well. And I've certainly messed up many times with it, specifically starting with our oldest child. We gave him a device with a lot of parameters. We thought we had a lot of guardrails up. I thought I was doing all the things to protect him and keep him safe online. And unfortunately, that was just not the case. There were ways around it. We saw some addiction issues. We were exposed to things I didn't even know existed out there online. So I was just desperate. And actually, one of my best friends was like, you need to follow SmartSocial.com because there's just so many good tips and tricks for moms out there who don't know where to start. I thought I was doing all the things, but I needed someone to hold my hand and say, Ashley, this is how you put parental controls on Instagram. This is how you do it on Snapchat. This is how you do it on TikTok. Or should we even be on these apps? And so I found SmartSocial. I immediately jumped into the VIP membership so that way I could get all the newsletters. I could learn all the slangs of emojis. It was like that. My whole world just was like exposed now. I was so thankful for that because I could really try to help my student be safe online and still let him communicate with his friends. So, and long story short, that's kind of how I found SmartSocial.
That is so awesome. And I know we hear Josh say often, he likes to talk about how you wouldn't give your new driver keys to a Ferrari, without ever having driven before.
Right.
You have to teach them how to drive before they're allowed to drive on their own and drive something, big and nice. And I think that that's just something all parents are going through. It feels like a big experiment. Like, what is going to work with my kids? Because every child is different, right? I mean, I know my kids, they're such different personalities that they handle things in very different ways. Do you find that you struggle kind of more with one child over another?
Yes, I do. And I think a lot of moms or parents out there can agree that our children are all very uniquely different. And that's kind of part of our story, was that the one that we started off with, just because of the age, we're learning we might have to navigate it a little bit differently for that particular child, where another child might be able to go into something a little bit differently. But like you said, with driving a car, we set those parameters, we set those guidelines, we teach them as best we can, but then kind of knowing what their boundaries are and what we should allow them to, where we should allow them to drive, so to speak. And so that's one of the things that we are struggling with and learning every single day. I feel like we take 2 steps forward with one child and then we take 9 steps back, and then this one's asking for this. And so I feel like we are all over the place with this, but that is why I'm just so passionate about this now, because I do think there can be a very healthy balance with social media, with screen time, with video games, depending on your particular child and what they can handle at that time, and it's an everyday. I don't think we're ever going to cross the finish line. I mean, that's why we need the constant resources that we provide here at SmartSocial to help myself and to help other parents out there.
Yeah,
It's always changing too.
And I think that that's what parents, myself included, struggle with the most. Is it's obviously so different than what we grew up with. These are new challenges. And I get it that every generation has its own new, unique challenges for parents and children to overcome together. But this is just it changes constantly. Technology moves so fast and changes so quickly that it's hard to keep up. And I think that is one of the best things that Smart Social is there for, is to try and help parents keep up. Check our site, look at our information, and we will try to keep you up to speed as much as possible. We're never going to get in front of it. I mean, it's just, we'll always be a step behind, but let's not be two steps. Let's try to be just one step.
Right. Yeah. It's always changing. When we first moved, this is a couple years ago, and I gave access to some of these apps for my children. And at that time, it wasn't what it is even now. And I feel like that wasn't that long ago, but just to see how that has evolved, how a lot of these things have evolved over time, we always have to be staying informed about it because it changes so quickly. And a lot of parents don't have time to do the research to find out how to change this or what changes, when our children are downloading apps that we've maybe never even heard of. So we think we're on top of something, but we're, maybe not. And so that's where this is just so helpful that we do, like you said, we have to stay as close as we can, not far back.
I totally agree. And it's just hard. And I'm so thankful that Smart Social can be there to hopefully help parents through these hard times, make it a little bit easier when you're dealing with stuff.
Yes.
And I also find it interesting that so many of these apps, when they were started, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, when they started, they have like zero parental controls. And luckily, fortunately, some of them are starting to now down the road realize, okay, a lot of teenagers, students, kids want to be on these apps. We need to help make them safer for them from the app's perspective. Obviously, parents are still the best protection that kids can have, but we don't want to say no to everything. We want them to have some freedoms and to be able to enjoy these different apps and these different versions of social media. So it is nice that some of the developers are building in some controls.
Yes. Yeah.
I know that you guys gave him a lot of technology, specifically your oldest, and then had to backtrack on it. How is that as a parent? I know a lot of parents are afraid to do that. They think, well, we've already opened this Pandora's box. There's no going back. How do you feel about that? And how has it kind of worked for your family?
That was actually what you just said was what I thought, because when I noticed the problems that we were having, I thought, well, I can't go back now. And this is extreme. And this is going to be confusing to to our child. And then his siblings are watching and seeing like, well, this is really, they, don't have this figured out. And we don't have it figured out. Right. And I don't think we're ever going to, because like we said, it's always changing. But we just explained to our child, like, we did not do our research. We didn't know what we didn't know. And now we know what we know. We said, we love you so much. This is what we're going to have to do. And there were tears and a lot of arguments. And it was not a pretty time in our home to definitely backtrack, and then having to go to school and explain why you no longer have access to these apps and to still communicate with friends that were back home. And so we had to get pretty creative. My phone has become our family device now. And all of our children now use my phone to communicate with their friends. So I have a lot of FaceTimes coming through each day and notifications, but that's a way that is working for us right now. And so still letting them communicate with their friends to be on some of these apps and have fun alongside us, which is where I think our family needs to be right now. So backtracking, but then finding some ways that we can be creative to still give them the responsibility to learn how to navigate some of these things.
I think that's great. I mean, and you've got to start somewhere. And obviously you found that where you guys started didn't work. So you got to start in a different place.
Yeah, it did not work well, but that's how we learned. And then, and then we just had to explain to our children, like, this is new. We, like you said, Andrea, we did not grow up with this. This was not a thing for a lot of parents right now. And so we are learning alongside of our child and students, and we are going to have to do the research. And sometimes the rules and policies may change. We may say yes to an app and then realize, no, we are not. Now that they've added this feature, this is now red zone. We're not going to get on this. Or something that maybe we've said no to for a while, we can start introducing slowly as a family, doing something together as family, or looking at an Instagram account as a family, to keep up with things. I think there's definitely ways to balance it.
And it's not easy. Like, it turns out parenting is hard, and and you've got seasons and specific issues that are more difficult than others. And I just think it's awesome that you guys stuck to your guns though, and backed off and said, okay, whoa, this isn't working. We need a new plan. Because like we said, a lot of parents are afraid to do that. And I think it's great that you guys weren't too afraid to do that.
And we had found some like-minded people, in school, in the classrooms right now, at least at my child's school, everyone has it. So then that seems super extreme that now we're removing something that still all of his friends have access to.
Mhm.
And, having to navigate that and trying to find some like-minded parents or like-minded other students in the classroom that maybe have the same kind of rules. So that was a whole nother thing too that we just weren't prepared to navigate.
Yeah, that is hard, but I do feel like even though my children come home and say all the time, well, everybody has this or everybody has that.
Uh-huh.
It's always so interesting when I talk to parents, like to the parents of these kids, and they're like, no, we don't have that.
Yeah, our kids, they're really good at that. And the manipulation and they fear of missing out. They don't want to do that. And so then we as moms feel so guilty because, here he was the new kid and he didn't have a phone and then he had a phone and he had all the things, but then he didn't have any of the things. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth and just the fear for the mom guilt too, I think that we carry sometimes with our children, knowing that they might go to school and have to explain to people why they don't have that. But it's been fine. And his friends really don't mind as much as I and he thought that they would. He said it and they moved on. They found other ways to communicate and it
Good.
worked.
Good. I think that is a really, even though it has been a struggle for you all, I think that is a really good example for parents everywhere that you can make adjustments and it can work out fine. And that you still, you'll still have struggles and different issues, but that it will be okay and that you can work through it. Okay, I think now we'll take a break and we'll hear from Josh. And then when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more about the different apps that we have been working on and some of the stuff that SmartSocial's been up to.
You're listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. Each week, we help parents and educators keep students safe on social media so they can someday shine online. Make sure you join our newsletter to get the most up-to-date social media alerts at SmartSocial.com/newsletter. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we send out the latest social media app resources that help parents and educators to navigate this challenging landscape with their students. Now let's get to the program.
So I know that we have been really busy over the last month or so since you came to join us, Ashley, at SmartSocial, working on different app guides and different resources for parents everywhere and for students as well. We have a lot that we offer directly for students to help educate them on how to shine online specifically. But can you tell us about the most recent guide that you have been working on?
Yes, I love that we are constantly updating, Andrew, just how we were just talking about how it's constantly changing. And that's something that we do here at Smart Social is we update apps that we've maybe reviewed last year or the year before that, and we come through and update them. And this past month, I was working on an app called TextNow. Have you heard of TextNow?
No, I have not heard about this.
Yeah, it's apparently been around for a couple of years, and that's why I went through and did the update on the app. But essentially, what it is it is a way for students and children to communicate with people through their phone as long as they have Wi-Fi. So they cannot have cellular data, but if they have access to Wi-Fi, they can download this app on their iPad or on their phone and use it to text back and forth with friends, whoever they want to communicate with. It also gives them their own phone number. So if they don't have cellular data on, let's say, their device, they will get assigned a phone number with the area code of where they live, and they will then be able to use that to communicate freely with people that they choose to do that with.
Are they the only ones that can initiate contact, or can other people use that phone number and text them or call them just like they would a normal phone number?
Well, they would have to give out the number to those they want to communicate with or initiate that conversation first. However, I downloaded the app for work and I've kind of been playing around with it for a few days and I do receive some random text messages. Some of them are more spammy, but you can just type in a random number and if it is assigned to somebody, you will have access to that person. So I have had some text messages through the app that I have not initiated.
Should kids use this? Should they not? Like, what do you think? Are there any kind of parental controls on it?
Well, there is one that I found, like I said, I had to play around with it for a while and just kind of use it myself. That's what I love about what we do here too, is we are using this ourselves. So I have the app on my phone. I was playing around with it. There is a way to lock your phone number and protect your phone number if you do choose to give this to your child or student, but it is a fee. It's so much a week. And that way their phone number is essentially locked and no one can find them. However, they still have the ability to text whoever they want to do. And the thing that I did not feel comfortable with is that parents, if they are checking their child's text messages on their phone, they don't know necessarily to go into this app and look at the text messages that are happening there. So it's a whole nother window of a way of communication for our children and students to communicate. That's another step for us moms to have to to monitor. And so I think it can be used well if you have a device that does not have text messaging and you need to text mom or dad, occasionally if they're at work or something. But I don't think it should be used freely for students. I think there's too much danger. It can seem very private. I also think there is a chance of, if no one knows your real phone number, you can communicate with your peers without them knowing who you are as well. So I think that opens up a whole nother thing for students right now.
I could imagine it would be a really easy way for students to bully others.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are. You just text, and I actually played around with it and texted myself, and then I texted the number back. And you can even share pictures, you can share videos. So you can do all of that on this app. I mean, this is a free app. So your student or child can download this and basically be living this whole other text communication life, that parents aren't seeing. So I'm recommending to parents to just let the student or child use what is already on their device. If they have a phone, let them use the text messaging service that was with that particular device instead of downloading another app to have to monitor and watch.
That's good advice. And I think you also hit it really on the head with one of the things that we always tell parents with all the different apps is download it for yourself, use it, see how it actually works. And then you can make that really informed decision on whether or not it's something that's going to be suitable for your child and your family.
Right. Yeah. It was, and that's how I found out. I was like, I wonder if it sends pictures. That's something too that we just worry about as parents, And so I did. I was sending pictures back and forth, and I mean, there's not a lot of filter on that at all, except like I said, the option to lock your phone number. But once they give out that phone number, they have constant communication.
Okay, and I'm assuming that you can delete texts from it, so
You
they
can.
can be okay. So
Yeah.
even if you can check it, then they can be deleting things.
They'll do it. Yes. Yeah. So that's what I didn't like about as far as for parents, we're already checking their phones. We're already feel like we're going through all these things. And here's this other app that we're going to have to go through and read all those texts and go through everything on that as well. Just, it's another step for us as moms to have something else for us to watch.
Yes. These smart kids.
They found ways to bypass things too. So that's why, and on the app guide, if you go to SmartSocial.com and look at it, it'll show a picture of what it looks like. So you know what to look for, on your student's phone. They downloaded that.
So if you're listening and your kid is asking to use TextNow, it's available on our website, SmartSocial.com, that and along with most other chat and texting apps that you'll find. If you find out that TextNow is not what you want to use for your family, we have a long list of other apps that fall into the Smart Social green zone. And hopefully you can find an app there that can make both you and your child happy.
All right. So Andrea, what are you working on this month?
We used to do a live event for our different partner schools. But this last month, we've kind of changed up our format a little bit because we know that parents are so busy that they don't necessarily have time to log in at a specific time and watch an event. So we have decided to make the last week of our month be more of like a parent engagement week where we release different videos through the week and different app guides, all based around like a common theme. And last month we did social media challenges, kind of the pros and cons, because honestly, social media challenges get a really bad rap, right? With parents, because we hear about all the different TikTok challenges where people get in trouble and people get hurt and damage to property. And yes, those exist and those are a problem. And parents need to be on the lookout for that and have conversations with their kids. But there's also a lot of pros to your child participating in a social media challenge, that they can have a lot of fun and join in with the whole family. Like when whole families will do like one of the dance challenges and you can tell like the parents are like, I don't know why we're doing this. But the kid is just like in their element and like loving it. And that to me is one of my favorite things to see on social media. And I think just such a great fun use of one of the challenges.
Yeah, it can be. And the kids teach us, right? Like, because I'm not following some of the things that maybe they're seeing at school, they come home and then teach us the dance or a challenge or something. There are definitely some positive challenges. And if we do it as a family, it can be fun.
Yeah. And I think anytime you can make your child the expert and have them teach you, it's so rewarding for them. And you get to just spend a little bit more quality time together and bond in kind of a different way. And, anytime you can show interest in what your child is interested in, it goes so far for your relationship, I think. So
it does. It does.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about social media challenges, the pros and cons, please look on our site, SmartSocial.com. and you can find our whole page and all of the great videos that we have. We talked to different students around the country and got their perspective on social media challenges, the good, the bad, what they're seeing. We talked to a few experts. We've got a psychologist, we have an author, and we have a student resource officer from Idaho who talks about his experiences dealing with different students throughout high school and these social media challenges. So we've got a lot of great information on the website in these videos, short videos, so that we don't take up too much of your time. So you can get a lot of information in one place, which we're always trying to do and trying to improve upon. So you should check it out. So at SmartSocial, we are always looking for new apps and new trends to research that involves our students in social media. We're always trying to make our students shine online as best as we can. If you have any questions or concerns, or you have a new idea for a new app guide or something that we should maybe update that you're finding you're having some struggles with at home, please share that information with us at smartsocial.com/contact. And we would absolutely love to give you exactly what you want and what you're looking for. And if you want to just learn more about how to keep your kids safe online with technology, join our newsletter list, or you can join our VIP, which is our very informed parent program at smartsocial.com. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for us this week. We have a lot of new and exciting things coming up in the future that we're going to be working on, updating some old apps and then add some brand new ones to add to our resource guide. This has been so much fun, Ashley. I have to say, I'm so thankful for you being at SmartSocial now, and it's so fun to work with you, and I look forward to doing this again with you.
Thanks, Andrea.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast with this week's topics from Beth and Andrea. If you enjoyed the Mom Talk discussion that we had today about all things social media from a mom's perspective, we invite you to join the SmartSocial.com VIP program. As a very informed parent VIP member, you will learn about the dangers and benefits of social media for your kids and get tips every week to keep your family safe online, and most importantly, to teach your students how to shine online. We have over 130 detailed app guides that cover apps like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and 100 plus apps you might not have heard of, but your students may have visited or downloaded. Find out more and join today at smartsocial.com/VIP. Please remember to rate, subscribe, and review so we can continue to help more parents and educators just like you. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. As always, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.